The older I get, the harder it is for me to be hyped about any game. And that's why MindsEye is such a special game, because I couldn't wait to get my hands on what I knew was going to be a complete, utter disaster. But damn, it went far beyond any of my expectations, and I'm glad one of the CEOs shared the conspiracy theory that Rockstar was behind the bad publicity the game was getting, because this gives me all I need to whip out some righteous vitriol. And speaking of bonkers statements, I heard some awful, slanderous claims that this game looks like a PS3 release, and I think those people never had a PS3 because it costs too much. MindsEye doesn't look bad, but it's very ugly to look at. Environments feel lifeless and static, the lighting is dull, the shadows sharp and crude. It's almost cute how the intro tries to mimic a GTA trailer without a shred of self-awareness. Everything is coated in this undescribable, aseptic, sterile veil that makes it look like a car commercial rather than an artistic product. The new Blazna XY, the ultimate technological achievement in car manufacturing that merges beauty with performance. On road, off-road, on pedestrians, wherever you go, this Blazna XY is your reliable woo! This is a tech bro idea of what good video game graphics should look like, and judging by the story, yeah, this is definitely a game made by a tech bro who got way too high smelling his own farts. There's an Elon Musk adjacent character depicted as this misunderstood genius who's mockingly called Rocket Boy by evil politicians for wanting to colonize other planets.
A little too interested in multi-planetary colonies than Red Rock citizens,
A whole mission has you sending a starship in space amongst a cheerful crowd of nerds, complete with obnoxious celebratory music. The protagonist can't stop glazing over every tech-savvy character that appears on screen. If this doesn't convince you, how about this scene where you enter the villa of Musky Boy, and when the protagonist sees some modern art painting, he goes, "Oh wow, that's so cool." Now that's what a writer pretending to be a human would write, because in no universe, parallel or otherwise, would the next military see Apollo and not think, "Damn, this guy's going to offer me a glass of soy milk instead of beer, isn't he?" Then again, I'm not entirely sure our bold and brave protagonist is supposed to be a human to begin with. He speaks and acts the way lizard people think humans would. Or maybe he's just as lost as I am trying to follow this mess of a story. Let's get this one over with real quick. Jacob Diaz is a former military operative who starts suffering from amnesia, points for creativity there, after he finds ancient Sumerian hieroglyphs which short-circuit his advanced brain chip. Yeah, bear with me. So he gets a job at SpaceX where he sets out to become the main character in the most boring iRobot fanfiction ever written by mankind. Painfully generic doesn't even begin to describe it, and I'm convinced I experienced the feeling of having your brain going in DEFCON 1, triggering all its defense mechanisms, cause I swear I couldn't follow anything that was happening. I was at MindsEye's mercy, violently thrust left and right from one tailing mission to the other.
There's a sweet spot above and behind the car where you can get close enough without being seen. She's starting the transfer.
In fact, I don't think this is a story, it's a weapon of psychological warfare, but when the writers realized it was too blatant, they started a piece around contest where they challenged each other to come up with the most ridiculous and brain-dead plot so they could muddle the waters, and that resulted in shoehorning advanced millennia-old technology from a parallel universe capable of infecting AIs and bring the Armageddon. I'm so sorry for ever criticizing you, Kingdom Hearts. Let's assume you're into complete clusterfucks and you're too young to have a child that can make one for you for free using just a bowl of cereals, so you might think of picking this game up. Let me warn you, if you want to experience MindsEye at its best, this is the right time. Don't wait any longer, go and buy it. Buy MindsEye. Because the moment patches are rolling out and the bugs get fixed, the only enjoyable part of this game will vanish.
Lead the way, Jacob. I concede your greater skills in such situations.
Without civilians ice skating on the concrete, the random explosions happening around town, or your car committing copyright infringement by copying every single trick from the Tony Hawk games, if you so much as graze a kidney stone while driving, what are you left with? A game so dysfunctional in all of its elements you'd believe it's entirely AI generated, and I kinda hope it is, because it would at least be a form of meta-narrative. It's hard to explain how poorly designed it is, so let me tell you, get this course on Udemy, and by the end of it, not only you'll have recreated MindsEye shooting, but you'll also have learned valuable practical skills which might land you a senior position to develop the sequel. It's barely more than a prototype. You shoot and you cover. No blind fire, no melee attacks, the enemy AI is in a limbo between passable and comatose. Hell, there's not even shoulder switch. How can you mess it up this bad? It's almost embarrassing to see these overproduced cutscenes before another boring shootout takes place. Okay, now it's getting serious. Look at how much effort they're putting on this. Zoom. Slow-mo. Guy comes out with the glass in his face and doesn't care. Yeah, got the hostage. Yeah, they're still making a sandwich. Oh yeah, zoom. Shoot. Who are these people? What? Who's that? That's just a civilian. That's a civilian. What? Samantha! What are you doing? Oh boy, Samantha, you're killing them. No! Samantha! No! She was my favorite character! Yet you'll beg to have more of these segments once the game starts dropping drone chase missions, the slowest stealth level in history. And my favorite part, dig your own grave QTE, which I think is a perfect metaphor for this whole experience. It almost feels like this game was hastily cobbled together to make up for the losses while developing another failed project. Oh wait, that's because it is! Everywhere, a massive online game supposed to host multiple games inside it, including, you guessed it, MindsEye. Clearly didn't work out and they needed to make their money back, which is why we end up with a gigantic open world map that is completely empty and only exists you can go from one objective to the other. And money were spent for this map, so you'll enjoy it, damn it! We want you to enjoy it so much, we won't even give you a fast travel option. Yes, you get a mini-map, because we feel generous, but an actual map? Oh no, what are you, stupid? Where's the fun if you can see where you're supposed to go? It's much better if you have to guess whether the objective is located inside this massive building or if you have to exit it first and take a car. Pro tip, it's almost always the latter, and what I mean by that is that, and I'm not joking, 80% of this game is just driving. Guess we now know who we can thank for GTA and Red Dead Redemption's endless vehicle chatter. It might sound good, honestly. The more you drive, the less you have to deal with the awful missions, but cars are more slippery than a used condom, so it takes one wrong turn to reach the stars. Is that what they meant by build a rocket boy? Wanna hear the best part though? No, it's not the fact that NPCs constantly call you on the iPhone if you're taking too long to reach the next objective. No, this is better. Hear this. If your car explodes,
you should feel honored that Marco wanted the tech reactivated.
You cannot steal one in the city, so you're left on foot or you reload your save. But you can shoot every single driver around unpunished. And this gives me the chance to say that in this town, mass murder is totes fine, but Grand Theft Auto is so illegal you wouldn't even try it.
Oh, my mother would never have allowed this.
The jokes write themselves, I don't even need to try. What else should I even say? Do I need to explain how many missions are just you driving a drone? Do I have to describe the lose your tail mission where your pursuer can just stare you into your beautiful eyes so up close I've had my own personal space violated? Do I need to tell you that most of the second half of the game forces you to drive back and forth from one end of the city to the other, which takes more than 5 minutes?
I'll get the drones.
No, I don't, but I want you to notice something here. In this entire post-trauma delirium, not once have I mentioned the crashes or the abysmal performances, but for good reasons. Because I've seen some insane comments suggesting that if only this game had a few more months, some extra polishing to make it run better instead of releasing Cyberpunk 2025, it could have been decent. And fuck no! This game is rotten to the core. It's an unsalvageable mess that can only spawn in the depths of the seventh circle of management delusions of grandeur. Cyberpunk, once fixed, was great. Goddamn Gollum gave me more entertainment than this once the crashes were reduced from 1 every 10 minutes to 1 every couple of hours. And the ending is just a final fuck you to the player, because it just ends. So let me save you some time and explain. Just as the Techno-Sumerian Billy Ray Turbo Nazi Ball of Death is about to, I don't know, make all the corn in the planet pop, I guess, the main character takes the lead, jumps into the Stargate and this is insulting. And somehow it gets worse, because you get a post-credit sequence, and surely it will make all this torture at least reach some form of closure. What? And somehow it gets worse. You close the final message from the devs, and your reward for finishing Bug My Eye Socket is playing as a 50 years old who got kicked too hard in the head during an Ozzy Osbourne concert in the 80s. Don't even try to say I'm being negative just because I want to ride the hate train, okay? I gave this game a chance. I played it to the end even when I faced a game-breaking bug, for Christ's sake. So in the interest of fairness, I will list the very few things MindsEye doesn't completely botch. Number 1. The voice acting is fairly competent.